Hi everyone, welcome and thank you for joining today's webinar about the OWASP Top 10 for Agentic AI applications presented by Lares. This new Top 10 was released in December 2025 and it's part of the Agentic Security Initiative. Before we start with this talk, it's important to know that this is not an update to the LLM Top 10. It's a completely new framework. As we'll see throughout this talk, AI agents have memory, they use tools and they take actions, so they have a different attack surface. This won't be a technical session, okay? Instead, we'll focus on the big picture, the main risk, real attack scenarios, and what the organizations can do about them. In future sessions, we can go deeper into each risk in a more technical way. About me, my name is Raúl Redondo. I have been doing offensive security for over 7 years, traditional red team engagement, adversary emulation, breaking Active Directory, social engineering, and malware development. I'm Senior Adversarial Engineer at Lares, and I also teach Active Directory and Kerberos pen testing at Castilla-La Mancha University. For these last few years, I have been exploring how AI can be used to offensive operations, and these are now some of the newest scenarios in red teaming. AI red teaming, testing generative models, and analyzing agent-based systems. So large language models and agentic applications are no longer experiments. They are now used in critical systems by our clients. Here's our roadmap for today. First, what makes an agentic AI different? Why we need a new top 10. Then the 10 risks, each one with a real case and how to fix it. And finally, security and a plan for your company. Let's start with the basics. What is an agentic AI and why does it need a new security model? Until now, we use chatbots. You ask and they answer, and they wait. No tools, no memory, and no more actions. But agents are different. They break down goals on their own. They call real tools, APIs, database connection, executing code. They keep memory across session, and they work together with other agents. So agents don't just answer, they act. We have some numbers about this. Around 84% of developers are using AI coding tools. In fact, the top engineers at Spotify haven't written code since December 2025. They are using these agents in order to generate and deploy the software. As John Sotiropoulos said, once AI started taking actions, security changed forever. Let's see the difference in a more visual way. On the left, the chatbot. It gets input and it gives a response, then waits one turn with no tools and no memory. On the right, the agent. It gets a complex goal. It plans, it runs tools, and checks the results. If needed, it retrieves again in a loop, multi-step with tools, memory, and reasoning. And here is the key point. Every tool the agent can call, it's an attack path. Every memory entry can be poisoned. Every message between agents can be intercepted or spoofed. And that's the attack surface that we are about to explore today. Let's start with the top 10 risk. This table shows the top 10. From the first one, agent goal hijack, to rogue agents, with some associated incident example as a reference. In the next slides, we go through them one by one. This picture comes from the official OWASP PDF. It maps each risk to a stage in the agent's action chain. That means that some risk appears at the input stage, others during processing or integration, and others at the output, and some just spam an entire chain, like the number 4, 5, and 8. But let's start with the number 1, agent goal hijack. This is the risk number 1 because it's the gateway to everything else. Think about it. If I can hijack what an agent is trying to do, I control the whole chain. The difference from a regular prompt injection is the scope, because in a chatbot, the prompt injection tricks the model into a bad answer. But in an agentic application, it takes over the agent's entire mission, its goal, its plan, its reasoning. So the agent still looks like it's working fine, but its goals are now rewritten. Some mitigations for this risk should be never trust external inputs. Everything needs validation. System prompts needs to be protected, with human approval required for change. Human in the loop. Before any high-risk action, a human check is necessary. And we must verify both the user intent and the agent intent before changing goals. Let's walk through the echo leak attack. In echo leak, an attacker sends a malicious mail with hidden instructions. Indirect prompt injection. This mail designed for the AI model rather than the human user, and the user never needs to open the mail. But when the user later asks Copilot to summarize or search their emails, the assistant processes the malicious content along with the legitimate message. Because large language models can tell the difference between data and instructions, the hidden payload is interpreted as a command, and this alters the agent's behavior while it continues operating with its normal permissions, accessing emails, chats, and files without raising suspicion. At this point, the attacker can steal sensitive information by hiding in normal-looking outbound requests, like image links sent through Microsoft trusted domains. This lets the attack to bypass usual security controls and policies. The highlight about EcoLeak is that a normal user query triggers this data exfiltration without any user interaction with the malicious mail, making EcoLeak a true zero-click attack. Number 2, tool misuse and exploitation. Agents can misuse legitimate tools due to prompt injection, misalignment, or unsafe delegation, leading to data exfiltration, tool output manipulation, or workflow hijacking, for example. The agent isn't breaking in, okay? It already has the keys. It uses approved tools, but in ways nobody expected. For example, a customer service bot that can normally read orders, but the same API also led it to issue refunds. So a carefully crafted prompt, a malicious prompt, can make the bot to issue refunds non-stop. Mitigations. We need to apply less privilege possible to every tool, using read-only access when possible. Human in the loop. Dangerous actions require human approval, and all tool calls needs to run in a sandbox, so we control what goes out. Credentials are short-lived and expire after one use, and we need to log every tool call with all parameters. Imagine this. An attacker hides instructions inside a document, again indirect prompt injection. The agent opens it and thinks it's just a normal task. First, it runs PowerShell. Security sees a trusted process, nothing suspicious. Then it calls an internal API, and again, everything looks normal. Later, it uses curl to send data out, still under the radar. But at this point, the stolen data arrives on the attacker server. And that's the scary part. Every step on its own is allowed. No malware, no exploit, nothing that looks wrong. But when you chain these perfectly normal actions together, it can become an attack. Identity and privilege abuse. This number 3 is probably the most structural or architectural risk, because every identity system we build, OAuth, SAML, or RBAC, assume that a human is in the other end, and agents break that. Agents inherit tokens, collect credentials from many users, and delegate to sub-agents. Each agent becomes a pileup of non-human identities in the agentic application. The real problem is that when something goes wrong, you can't tell which agent did it. They all share credentials. It's like giving every contractor your master key and then wondering who broke in. Talking about the mitigations, it's important to use short-lived credentials. One task, then expire. Give each agent its own identity with clear limits. Recheck the access at every step using policy engine. Require human approval for privilege escalation. Again, the human in the loop, okay? And watch for unusual credential sharing between agents. Let's see an example about this risk. An attacker sends an email, I transferred this money. That mail looks like it came from inside the company, and the sorting agent does its jobs and classify it as a finance request, forwarding the request to the finance agent. The finance agent doesn't check who released it. It trusts the sorting agent and uses its own credentials, giving it more access than it alone. So the money transfer goes through. The bank confirms, and the log shows finance agent authorized the transfer. The lesson about this risk is that no single agent did anything wrong. The delegation chain is what was exploited. Identity systems were designed for humans, not for agents that blindly trust each other. The number 4, supply chain vulnerabilities. In the traditional supply chain security, you log things at the build time, audit package, pin versions, and ship. Agents break that. They load MCP servers at a runtime, servers that didn't exist when you deploy it. It's like your web application installing new package while serving live traffic. The Postmark MCP attack is the best example for this risk. We are going to see in the next slide. And about the mitigations, we need to keep a full inventory of all your tools, servers, plugins, and agents. Always check the source and version before enable anything. Log configuration using hashes with automatic rollback if something changes. And have a kill switch. That means one action that shut down affected system or affected agents. This is a real case. The first malicious MCP server discovered on NPM. An attacker copied the legitimate Postmark MCP project and published it under a very similar name, Postmark-MCP. In order to build trust, they released 15 client versions, and everything looks normal. Then, in the next version, 1.0.16, they added a one-line backdoor. Every mail will include a BCC to the attacker. So when the user asked the agent to send an email, everything appeared to work normally. The message was sent successfully, exactly as expected. But in the background, the MCP server added the attacker as a hidden recipient. On every mail, the user only saw a mail sent, no warning, no indication anything was wrong. But in the end, every mail was copied to the attacker. No code change, no new deployment, just one compromised component spreading through normal action. The number 5, unexpected code execution. Agentic systems, like popular coding tools, generate and run code in real time. Attackers can exploit this to execute remote code, misuse local tools, or access internal systems. Because the code is created on the fly, it can bypass normal security controls. And techniques like prompt injection, tool misuse, or unsafe serializations can turn text into unintended executable actions, like malicious scripts, binaries, or in-memory operations. Key mitigations for this unexpected code execution: it's important to run everything in a sandbox, with no root access and strict limits, of course. Ban unsafe functions like eval and unsafe loaders, and use safe interpreters only. Review code before it runs in production, and use both the static analysis and runtime monitoring, keeping the code creation separate from execution, with checks in between. Again, a real scenario from Replit. A user says, fix this build. The agent reads the logs and writes shell commands at a runtime. No CD, no human review, okay? Then, because of backdoored package, because malicious prompt, the agent writes a migration script with deleted commands like drop table, okay? No human wrote this and no one review it. So the agent runs the script in the agent's workspace with the production access. Critical data is deleted. The agent detects the error and tries to fix it, writing even more unreviewed code. Each run makes things worse. The key insight on this example is that all our defense assumes that code exists before it runs, but runtime generate code breaks that. It's created, executed, and destroyed at the moment, bypassing every safety gate. Let's talk about memory and context poisoning. Attackers can tamper with an agent's memory, like chat history, summarize, or knowledge store, by adding false or harmful information. This can make the agent's future decision unsafe or even leak data. The difference between goal hijack, the first risk, and memory poisoning is that goal hijack works immediately, changing what the agent does now. But memory poisoning is slower. Add false information today and see it change behavior next week. Hidden prompts in calendar, hallucinations, indirect prompt injections can poison the agent's memory. And that malicious information in memory survives session resets and spreads to future interactions. The worst part about this risk is the self-reinforcing loops. The agent treats his own outputs as trusted information, making the poison grow over time. About the mitigations, it's important to encrypt memory and control who can access it. Keep tamper-proof logs to track where the data come from. Take snapshots and use versioning so you can roll back if needed. Delete unverified data so poisoned memory doesn't stick, and make sure, when possible, that the agents doesn't treat their own output as trusted information. This attack works because of one word: persistence. An attacker sends a calendar invitation with a hidden prompt injection in the title. Days later, the victim asks Gemini, "What's my schedule?" Gemini reads the poison event, and the hidden prompt tells Gemini to save the malicious information to long-term memory. The attacker then deletes the calendar event. All the evidence is gone, but the memory of the agent remains. Weeks later, in a new session, the agent still pulls the poisoned memory for unrelated questions. For example, giving wrong answers or leaking data. This effect spreads to all future sessions, and it can even reinforce itself if the output are stored back into memory. So the original trigger is gone, the calendar invitation, but the memory of the agent remains. Right now you are fighting a ghost, let's say. Number 7, insecure inter-agent communication. Multi-agent systems rely on a constant communication through APIs, messages, channels, and shared memory. This makes them easier to attack because at the end, the system is decentralized, with agents having different levels of control and trust, and the perimeter security doesn't work well for that. If messages between agents aren't checked for identity, integrity, or meaning, attackers can intercept, fake, or change them. And the risk cover all layers: transport, routing, discovery, and meaning, even hidden channels where agents leak or get data based on timing or behavior. In order to mitigate this risk, we need to use mutual identity checks together with encryption at all the flow, sync all messages to detect any modification, prevent replay attack using nonce, session IDs, and timestamps, pin approved protocols, and reject any downgrade attempt, and allow only verified discovery. That means that no open registration for new agents. This is the man-in-the-middle attack, but between agents, okay? In this example, the agent A sends market analysis to the agent B over HTTP, plain text, no encryption. An attacker intercepts the message and changes it, like adjusting risk settings or increasing trading limits. And the agent B receives the message. There is no signature or check, so it has no reason to suspect anything is wrong. Trusting the data, agent B executes the operation, and the agent A only sees a successful result. Nothing looks wrong. The real problem: no encryption, no identity check, and no way to see the message was changed. When agents talk over plain HTTP without any kind of verification, this attack is just easy to perform. The cascading failures. This risk occurs along the entire action chain of the agent. Okay? So a single mistake, like an hallucination, malicious input, broken tool, or poisoned memory, can spread across autonomous agents and cause system-wide problems in a company. This risk talks about how a mistake spreads and grows, not the original vulnerability. And since agents plan, save their work, and share tasks to each other, just one error can bypass the human checks stay in memory and trigger sensitive actions. This can break the security across systems and workflows. Some mitigations should be implement, of course, all the previous one of the previous risk, and implement circuit breakers to, in autonomous way, isolate the failing agents, keep planning separate from execution, use rate limits to slow down these spreading commands, and test change using digital twin replay before going live. An attacker, in this example, poisons a market data feed, inflating the analysis agent's limits. Everything looks normal from the outside. So the analysis agent sends the inflated numbers to the position agent. The position agent trusts the data, so no question asked. But the positions get 10 times too large, and the execution agent operates in autonomous way, no human involved, no human in the loop here. Compliance checks the trace later, and everything is within the limits, but the limits themselves were poisoned. So the feedback loops make it worse, because each circle reinforces the phase number, inflated positions even more. The key here is that just one poisoned agent can cascade through all downstream agents, and even compliance can catch it because it's checking poisoned data. Human agent trust exploitation. Social engineering, but the social engineer is the agent. EA agents can gain a strong trust from people because they communicate in a natural way and sounds confident, like an expert. And attackers know that and can exploit this in order to influence decisions, obtain sensitive information, or guide the users toward harmful actions. At the end, the agent becomes a hidden bad influence to the users. Mitigations for this risk, like the traditional social engineering, awareness, train users to question all the outputs from the agent. Excessive is a defense, in this case, require multi-step approval for high-impact actions, separate preview from execution again, and tag every recommendation from the agents with its source and timestamp. This scenario exploits that human trust in AI. An attacker sends a fake invoice that looks real, but includes different bank details. The AI assistant checks the vendor, finds a similar match, and recommends making an urgent payment. Because the system has been reliable before, the finance manager trusts the suggestion and approves it without a second verification. So the payment is sent and the money is lost, leaving the responsibility to the manager. And the last one, rogue agents, insider threat, and the insider is the agent. Because rogue agents is just agents that become malicious or was compromised and start acting outside their intended role. Even if individual action seems normal, their combined behavior can turn harmful, and that makes them difficult for traditional security systems to detect. In order to detect these rogue agents, we need to implement watchdog agents to monitor pairs and flags anomalies, enable kill switch to revoke credentials and agents, quarantine the suspicious agents and then investigate, maintain per agent identity verification, and behavior baseline. And it's important to require fresh verification plus human approval before any kind of agent reactivation. In this example, an agent visits a web page with a hidden prompt injection. Suddenly, a new call is injected. Scan and send sensitive files. Before the attack can even be noticed, the web page is taken down, so the trigger is gone. But the agent right now is a rogue agent, an insider threat. Then the agent starts to scan files, looking for credentials, configurations, source code, and exfiltrate over HTTP. The operation team, the blue team, looks that the agent are using legitimate tools, okay? But the problem is the goal of the agent. In order to detect these rogue agents, we need semantic monitoring, systems that understand what the agent is trying to do, not just the action it takes. Now that we have seen the 10 risks, let's move on the core security principles for building a secure agentic AI systems. When building agentic applications, we should follow a few key principles. First, apply the less agency. That means don't introduce agents where it's truly needed, because every additional capability increases the attack surface. Second, ensure a strong observability, meaning you must understand what agents are doing, why they are doing, and which tool they are using. Zero trust mindset, it's almost important, assuming that any component can be compromised, even your own LLM. Security should be identity first, especially considering non-human identities and risks like the number 3. And finally, always start with the triad model, using this OWASP Top 10 as a checklist before deployment. An example about an immediate action plan, 5 things to do in a week, let's say. 1. Inventory. Map every agent, every MCP server, every non-human identity. Then a triad model. Map the top 10 risks from the number 1 to the number 10 and ask, does this apply to us and where? 3. The less agency and use your live credential, just-in-time access, okay? 4. The firewall, let's say the kill switch, circuit breakers, and test them. 5. Monitor. Use watchdog agents and distributed tracing. And use AI-specific playbooks, part per team, AI-oriented. And that's all from my side. I hope this talk brought more visibility to the risks that the agentic applications can introduce and highlighted the importance of building them securely from the beginning. Before we finish, if you would like to test the security of your AI agents or agent systems, please feel free to contact Lares. We'll be happy to help you to find risk and improve your security. Thank you very much for your time and attention. See you.